Over the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about aliens in Area 51. Is there some sort of government cover-up? Is there something else going on? Right after we dropped our last conversation, we had a major drop from the US government about UAPs, which is essentially the new way to say UFOs. Today, we're going to talk about that, plus we're going to get into some ancient geoglyphs and the Nazca lines. How did these ancient civilizations possibly have this technology to accomplish these amazing feats? We get into all of that today and much more in this episode of Sasquatch Talk, starting now. Hello and welcome to Sasquatch Talk. My name is Bradley Valentine. I'll be your host today for episode 21. We're going to keep things going with a little ancient mysteries here. I have Troy Miller at the top right of your screen. He's along with me, and Dan the Man at the bottom. And before we get into our main topic today, we spent a couple weeks talking about aliens, Area 51, and it was like right after we finished our last episode, the U.S. Department of War released and unsealed a lot of files regarding UAPs, which is essentially the new term for UFOs. It's, what is the term again?
Unidentified aerial phenomenon.
There you go. It's the same exact thing.
Yeah,
essentially.
UAP.
Yeah,
UAP,
same
yeah,
exact
it's the
thing.
same thing, though.
And it's like a fancier way of saying flying object. Like aerial is flying. It's just a fancy way of saying it. And
phenomenon is just unexplained.
Yeah, it's literally the same exact thing. It's funny because a couple days...
You gotta hype it, though.
A couple days before this happened, some big mega church pastors were like, the government gave us the inside scoop on this, and they said, you better prepare your people for what's coming. And supposedly they had some like government insiders. And then we look at these files and they're like, okay, well, they didn't really tell us to prepare and like change our lives, or like the books of the Bible are going to really mean something different. But it's funny because it came out and then people started posting stuff on the internet. And then it was like, well, these are just black and white pictures of UFOs, and sometimes they were just black blobs. So I'll start with you, Troy. Did you learn anything new? Was there anything interesting? You're already shaking your head.
No, I like you were saying, the books of the Bible had a different meaning. No,
right.
Nothing changed, nothing earth-shattering. You know, they took pictures of lights. Some of these UFOs was just little black dots off in the distance. Yeah. It could have been anything. You know, there was that one recreated image of some sort of, I guess, CGI image based on the words of an eyewitness, but it was no. I just.
Yeah.
I think it's just overblown. I think that it's just, yeah.
What about you, Dan? Did you find anything interesting? Learn anything new? Do you believe in aliens now?
Here's what I'll say. I don't spend enough time up in the sky to make a definitive yes or a definitive no. I know that there are lots of technologies out there. I do know this. There's a lot of weirdness that can't be explained in the natural world around us. I think that if you're looking for something, you can kind of see whatever you're looking for.
Okay.
People say that Devil's Tower out in the middle of, what is that? The Dakotas?
Yeah.
Is that South Dakota?
Is it Wyoming?
I thought it was Wyoming.
Yeah, it's in
Maybe
Wyoming.
It's Wyoming?
Yeah.
Okay. They say that that's a large tree trunk from a big giant tree from long ago.
Okay.
And, sure, it could look like one. Is anybody going to try to dig the roots up around it? Probably not. You know what I mean? Like, there's an easy way to really make things look to be how you want them to be, right? Is Sasquatch real? well, we go out in the woods and you can hear thumping and it could be an echo, but it might not be. And,
Yeah.
like cougars, when they screech, I'll tell you this, I've heard a cougar in real life, and it
Yeah.
sounds like a lady being murdered in the distance,
Uh-huh.
and it makes all the hairs on your neck stand up. I think I'd like to have the courage of David from the Bible, where he's, ripping the jaw off of a lion. That'd be pretty cool.
Uh-huh.
But that feeling of when I heard that, between that and my next step, I was like going inside because I did not have a firearm very near enough.
Sure, sure.
And like it just, all of these things that we think about usually stem from warnings, right? Like there's all of these tales from different cultures about not going near places because it's dangerous. Like,
Okay.
sinkholes, you can fall into things. A lot of it stems from just, people tell their kids, don't play in traffic, you could die. Well, are you really going to die? Maybe,
Right.
but probably not, you know?
Okay.
Depends on how busy
Here
the
in
road
Florida, more likely because people are crazy driving, and probably now in Klamath Falls too. I don't know what's going on with all that, but maybe they're all looking for UAPs and they can't pay attention to the road. But I say all that to say this: you could try to find a shred of something in everything that you're looking for. Do I believe it more so now? Probably less now. It very much. I've been very underwhelmed with most releases from the government lately. Like even the JFK files, there was a guy that I was following. I wish I uh had his YouTube channel. But they released a bunch of the files and he was like, all right, all of the important data is blacked out.
Sure.
It just shows that there's something more to it than they're leading on. There's something more to it than they're letting us know.
Yeah.
But we can't. You can say, oh, it was the mob. You can say, oh, it was this. When we were in Key West, I sent you the picture of that book about Key West and how,
Yeah.
What was it? Cubans in Key West were, trying to plot the demise of JFK.
Yeah.
Like, so like you can pick up all these little clues that can start pointing more in one direction. But chances are, as always, the truth is a conglomeration of multiple different viewpoints, and some people have parts of it, and the real truth is somewhere in between all of those.
Okay.
So there could be aerial phenomenon that I cannot explain, and I've been working on airplanes for a long time.
Well, of course,
the
there could
likelihood
be
that they're
aerial
from some other
phenomenon
planet
that you
is-
couldn't explain. Like you would have to know every single thing in the air to be able to explain everything. And I think that's part of the problem with the whole concept of the idea is like, unless one person has access to all the knowledge, then it's unidentified. It's like
Yeah, and if yeah, I agree. And if I was running an organization to maintain ultimate security, no one would have the need to know any
Sure.
of the things. You would need to know exactly what you need to perform the
Exactly.
exact task that I want you to perform.
So here is the biggest one that people were talking about. And I'm going to put a screenshot of this picture in our chat so you can see. And then I'm going to put it on our camera so everyone can see. So that's the picture for you guys. And then let me take a screenshot and put it. This was the big one that people were talking about. So for the viewers, there should be a picture in front of you in your screen, and you'll see it's kind of like a, I don't know how you describe it, like
I would say that's a starburst.
I was about to say starburst type picture.
Like the classic like
What a star looks like.
hand-painted star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, so this was like the big one, like almost the smoking gun at first, if you will, for people on the internet. And then people were saying, like, okay, if you look at the descriptions of the angels in Ezekiel, like they have wheels, and they come on wheels, and the wheels have eyes, and it's a very
Well, you have to read that whole description, otherwise if I were to tell everyone to close their eyes and describe to them a laptop, and I started with the motherboard on the inside of the laptop, your reference is going to be all over the place.
Sure. Well, my point is that that's what people were saying, right? Like, oh, think about, and there was this one guy, Josh Howerton, he's like a mega church pastor, and he had this post like, look at the book of Ezekiel, and look at the whatever, right? Like, I've read through the book of Ezekiel. It's very difficult to understand, and the imagery is crazy, especially within the first couple chapters.
Yeah, I've read it and looked up like renditions of it probably 100 times.
And regardless of what you think, it turns out that people found more screenshots or pictures of this incident, and it looks like it was just like some sort of flare, like lens flare or light flare from someone parachuting. And it was just one screenshot. And
well, Brad, do you remember when we were kids, there was that lake over in Palos Hills that people said they would see floating, glowing red orbs on the other side of the lake?
Are you talking about the little graveyard?
Yeah, there's a graveyard and a lake.
Yeah, there's a little lake there. Yeah, I know what you're talking. I can't remember the name. It was something.
Yeah, so the church on the other side of the graveyard has red windows in the stained glass windows at the very top, and at the right time of year, the sun reflects off of those, off the water, and it looks like three moving, shining red orbs. So when I was in high school, we drove over there to see it at the right time of year, and this is before like the internet was big, right? That was like AOL Online was like just starting out.
Yeah.
You know, like that was like 96, 97.
Right.
When we went to get, like, that's how interested we as humans are in things floating around in the air.
That's the thing, is like, this was just a picture with no context, and people started asserting
it's got to be aliens.
Like, not even aliens, angels or demons, right? Like, like there's this assertion that if there's anything, it's demonic, which I get the idea, but like sometimes it's just nothing, you know, or you need to see a little bit more to realize that it's something real in our real world. And I'm not denying the existence of anything supernatural. I'm just saying that sometimes we see things and there's just, it's not that big of a deal. And that's where it comes down to. This picture was actually some sort of lens flare or light flare from a guy who was parachuting. And if you saw more images or the longer image, you could actually see like the parachute and everything. And it's like, we don't need to say everything's angels or demons or supernatural or aliens. Like, sometimes it's just a guy parachuting. And
yeah, sometimes it's just your point of view.
Yeah. So
that's the really funny thing about it is, like, instead of defaulting to, well, I'm not sure what I saw. My vision was probably skewed, or I wear glasses and was looking through two other panes of glass.
Yeah.
You know, I had two different lenses. If I walked around without my glasses all the time, I'd never see any UAPs, because everything would be a UAP.
Sure. By definition. But I think in the end, it kind of nothing happened. Like you said, Dan, it was kind of like this piece of transparency that told us whatever. But we just, we kind of had to follow up on it. So let's get to our topic today, which is the Nazca lines. And Troy, we started talking about this last week. And do you want to kind of give us a little bit of a summary of what they are and If you've never heard of a Nazca line for our audience, just kind of explain it for the people in our audience.
Yeah, well, so the Nazca lines are in a town or community of Nazca in southern Peru, but what there are geoglyphs. So some of them are massive that can only really be seen what they are from elevated elevation, whether you're in a
Yeah.
plane, parachuting, something. Some of them are awfully small, but the what was it the radiocarbon dating puts it at several thousands years old, and there's been a lot of mystery surrounding them as far as like
Yeah,
why
and
they were there,
they
what
don't have the
purpose do they
date line down
serve.
either. It's
No,
500 BC to 500
yeah,
AD.
Yeah.
So
and
they got a
they're
1,000 year swing for
Huh.
it. So
and they're finding more constantly, right? So the number of geoglyphs, and currently I think there's a few hundred that they've discovered, but yeah, and that's the subject. What do
Yeah.
we think that they are for? Like what was the purpose behind them?
Yeah, I think we kind of got into this conversation that like that there's an implication that if there is a geoglyph like this, and there are other geoglyphs in the world, they're not necessarily Nazca lines or exactly like this, but if there's a geoglyph like this, then how do you explain it if it was engineered on the ground to be seen from above, right? Like Daniel, your assertion was that you can see it from above, but they had no way from seeing it from this aerial point of view 2,000 years ago, whatever it is,
It could be
1,500.
seen from the top of a hill. Like
It-
if you go to the
yeah,
top of
but
a hill, you can
not
see
all.
some.
So I looked into that, and only two of the smaller ones can be seen from the top of a hill. The biggest ones, you can't tell what they are from the ground.
So let's get
Right.
into that conversation. Dan, what are you implying specifically by saying, like, by bringing up that point? So I guess my question would be, so what?
So what?
Yeah. So what? You can't see it from you can't
Who
see it from the
cares?
ground
Okay.
or from a hill.
So here's my so what? Why?
Why what?
Why do it
Why
in the
make
first place?
something you can't see from the ground, but you can only see from 2,000 feet above it?
So
If
you're
you can, why not?
But how do you know what it looks like? What are you even doing?
so
You just
okay.
you convinced 20 people with beer to
No,
walk
you
in
do.
certain
Do you have
lines?
to? Okay, are you saying that this was like a free capitalistic society where they paid people like a good living wage and they had to just convince them and say like, hey man, I'll pay you
Well,
$8 an hour and then I'll get you some overtime? Or is it
no, it
possible that
was
they had slaves and they're like, hey, if you don't do this, we'll beat you or kill you?
right, but
So what
but
does
when you
convincing
look
have to
up
do with
that
anything?
when you look up that culture,
Mm-hmm.
because that's like one of the only Peru is one of the few places outside of the U.S. that I desire to go visit. There's very few places outside the U.S. that I need to go see,
Okay.
or like care to, right?
I
Um,
agree.
there's a few of them, but you would have to understand that tribal culture because they weren't ruled by a ruler. They were a group of people surviving together.
Okay.
Had families and different things, right? So like if you're surviving and you don't have modern conveniences and everything you do is a calculated effort of survival,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
Are you telling me that making a 190 square mile bird is the means of your survival? That you can't see from the ground, by the way?
To be clear, the total area of where all the
That's
Nazca
190
lines
square
is
miles.
190 square miles. It's not one
Right.
giant bird that's 190 square miles.
Yeah.
Yes. But what I'm saying is each of those lines, that whole route is over miles long. Each of those lines is
Yeah.
miles long.
I guess what you're
So
saying
you're
is
stopping
like
from gathering food in this, at the time, supposedly arid, dry desert where there's no food growing there.
uh-huh.
And it doesn't take 15 minutes to make a mile.
Okay, you're looking
Okay.
at this.
So
Okay.
you said why,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get to there because when I think about my day and the hours that it takes me to earn what it takes me to feed my family, right?
Yep.
If you've gone foraging, that takes time.
Uh-huh.
Then you have to get back and process the stuff that you just foraged.
Uh-huh.
Then you have to, like
I don't think this
either
is that.
cook, get water, get this.
I don't.
They're
I
not
don't think this
surviving
is
without
that, Dan.
water. They have to bring water there.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think this is that.
Troy, what do you mean you don't think this is that?
I think honestly, I think it's instead of it kind of like the pyramids where they had slaves and rulers whipping them to build these giant pyramids. I think
that's an assumption.
tribe.
You don't know that they were built with slaves. Just
Yeah,
that out
we
there.
also don't know that they were paid either. Anyways,
Yeah.
I think this was a tribe of small group of people, maybe less than 100, that they didn't have jobs to go to. Maybe they were content with their current food source or whatever, and so they just started moving this dirt in the sand, because that's all these Nazca lines are. They're not boulders. They're just moving the dirt out of the way to separate the top from the lower layer of soil, and that's what gives it the.
And they just happen to do it in straight lines that
There's math.
correspond
I mean,
to
No,
geographical directions.
There's math. They could do that. I mean, and so on your point, it's 190 square miles, but the longest one is only a few hundred yards. They're not miles long, so you could see the whole length with your eyes from the ground. And math is a thing that all people have had. They can do simple geometry and make it from the ground, knowing that at some point in the future, people are going to be up in the sky looking down and being like, "What is that?" Why did they?
I don't think they knew that somebody was going to be up in the sky in the future.
Okay,
no way.
here's the thing. One, Dan, you're assuming that these are just regular guys going to their job and they're like, "Hey, let's go make
No,
this
I'm
cool
not saying
thing,"
going to their
you
job.
know?
I'm saying they have to forage all day
So
long.
what?
That's their
All
job
throughout
during that
history,
time.
until essentially America, there have been slaves, slave labor, people building things in memory of themselves.
Yep.
Like, it wasn't just like, I gotta forage my food.
Slave labor there until 15 whatever, when Cortez took over the area.
I don't know that there wasn't for a fact.
Yeah, they have.
Thousands
There's
of years
documentations from Cortez when he went through which area had slaves and which area didn't.
So, and he said Nazca, the culture of Nazca from 2,000 years ago had no slaves.
Right.
I don't buy it. I don't. How did Cortez know?
1500 area. Yeah. How would he know 1,000 years prior to that?
How would you? If you have slaves, you can tell who has slaves.
But when did Cortez show up?
15 something.
So he was at the earliest 1,000 years after the Nazca lines. Up to 2,000.
Rise and fall with different kinds of leadership, and some had slaves, some didn't.
And that all makes my point. That all makes my point. Back to the why. Why?
Why? I don't know. Let me throw a theory out at you.
Gun oil.
Let me throw a theory out at you.
Well, we can trace that very easily.
I know we can.
Okay.
So go ahead, Bradley.
Let's say you're an ancient civilization and there's a meteor shower, right? And you don't know what that is, right? So you're like, it's the gods. And we're like, they're all the way up there. Let's build something down here so they can see, and maybe they'll bless us with rain for our crops, right? So
now we're getting somewhere.
There you go. So maybe it's just they saw a star or like a comet go through the sky and they're like, okay, that's why. Let's do it so we get some blessings. And then they don't have to convince anyone to make this thing. Maybe other people also believe it. Maybe they force them to do it. Or maybe just like everyone kind of believes in this ancient myth that the star gods are going to bless us if we make beautiful pictures for them. And maybe there's people, like you said, Troy, within the civilization who are good at engineering, good at math, and while they can't see it from up there, they can draw something or like figure out the process. That's where it's like, like, why? I don't know why, and I guess we'll never really know why, but I feel like that could just be an easy explanation, right? Like, what's the alternative?
I don't know.
What other explanations are there?
Yeah, yeah. No, they saw something and they
Aliens
attempted to explain
visited.
it.
That's
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay.
The UAPs landed. The
Well,
UAPs landed and told them, "You have to do it this way."
so okay, that's my logical explanation. But Dan, you said aliens visited. I don't know why, and maybe it's just because I'm an idiot, but I can't help but feel like the Nazca lines are like the Central American version of like crop signs, right? Or crop circles.
Circles.
Yeah. And
Those are just created by farmers. They just go out there with wood and lay
Yeah,
it down, and they do
I
it
That's
know.
how
around
that
with their
one. That's
mat.
how those one dudes did it.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. So like, okay, because we have to get to like some sort of implication of like, are all crop circles explained, right? We've probably all seen the video of the guy with like the wooden things like flat.
Yeah, but it doesn't do it. So
Go ahead, Dan. What?
I don't know.
So
I don't.
how many crop signs or circles have there been?
I started to go down
Haven't
this
looked
road and
into
I had to
that for
quit.
Years. Yeah.
I had to quit.
So Bradley, you're saying crop circles and Nazca lines are on the same plane, basically the same category.
I don't know. What I'm saying is that there. You know what? I think there were some in England too, weren't they?
Yeah,
What I'm saying is that
they're all over.
there's something like Dan kind of had this question of why, and my answer is like, who knows? Like maybe they use some sort of forced labor. Maybe they used the gods in the skies, and maybe it was just a star or whatever, right? But my question is like, we still don't know. Like there's a lot of work put into it.
We don't have a definitive. It was most likely this.
Right.
So these people that made the Nazca line, did they have a written language? Were there any kind of
I don't know.
tablets or language
Yeah, they-
that was discovered around that area?
Yeah. I have no clue.
Hold on. I've
Any
got
kind
a.
of recorded thing, recorded language? Because that could answer a lot of questions if there was something along those lines. But since this is just shapes in the desert, there's no recorded history there.
Yeah, I guess like it could be anything, but there's still a mystery to it that I don't understand. And
So here's one of the things is one of the people said, "Oh, it's definitely got to do with star alignment, right?"
okay.
Yeah, I heard
And he
that,
like laid
that
this whole
theory.
thing out, right? And then this astrophysicist or some dude that looks at stars, astronomer, whatever. They went out
Some
there,
dude that looks at stars.
yeah, plotted it all out, and they're like, it aligns with nothing.
yeah.
That's hilarious.
I was super into like reading this thing, and it was like, and it aligns with nothing. And I was like,
well, thanks.
That was a waste of time.
I
Yeah,
believe they
like,
call
there
that
goes-
burying the
it
lead.
goes 5 minutes I can't get back.
Yeah.
But here's my thing. Here's my thing. We said why, but in Ohio, in Peebles, Ohio, there's this serpent mound, like all over the Midwest. There's like, Brad, when we were kids, we went to the Cahokia Indian Mounds
I
in
was just
southern
gonna bring
Illinois.
that up, like the Cahokia Mound.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, over in Ohio, there was more mounds, and the thing that's left is this serpent mound. And so there's all kinds of mounds making large shapes all over the globe.
Right.
Those were all ancient peoples that did it. You could say the same
Yeah.
thing about Stonehenge in England. You know, they still haven't figured out exactly why that was built.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I would say you would have to either believe or not believe in Nephilim and how that happened. So I would say that it's more akin to something that predates the flood. Although I would say these Nazca lines,
Mm-hmm.
would they I don't think they predate the flood.
No.
No, it'd have to be afterwards because
Yeah.
there's a reason why they built the Nazca lines where they did because of the dry climate and no wind, so the climate wouldn't destroy them.
Yeah.
And they knew this at the time when they built these.
Well, I mean, I think the Nazca lines to what you're asking earlier, Troy, is like brings up like there are geoglyphs all over the world, like with what you're talking about, and like I guess my point is like, is this just an ancient thing where we look at this world and it's like an ancient odd phenomenon that the reason we can't explain it is because we're too far removed, but we also
We
have.
don't know what they were thinking at the time.
But here's the thing, we also have crop circles today. And I'm not implying aliens did it. I'm implying that we don't know why people did that today. Or if people did it today, or how it was done. We have theories. We have some people who have kind of proven that it's possible to be done. But we just don't know, and we're not thousands of years removed from it. We still don't get it today, you know? And the question is, like Dan, you said Nazca lines couldn't, like people couldn't see it from above because they weren't above. Let's say the crop circles was done by this guy with the wooden planks on his whatever, right, to bend the corn stalks. Did he have a drone flying above to find it? Probably not, right? Maybe he mapped it out. So
That's
Well, I know that there's some cool stuff you can do where if you tie a rope to a center post
uh-huh.
and you draw a circle and then you divide that by a certain portion of that same rope
Mm-hmm.
and you take that and go a certain you can make squares from circles by intersecting lines. You can make triangles from circles by using intersecting radius.
So what?
What I'm saying is I'm siding with you a little bit on these crop circles that you can definitely make them easily by plotting.
underground.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, the plotting. It's
And-
math and geometry. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Uh-huh.
that brings us back to the why.
Yeah. Well, and that's where it's like, so I guess my point is I reject the
So it
theory
either
that,
points to
Mhm.
someone is able to see it from up top that they feel is able to see it, right?
maybe.
So that's one why.
right. That could be
The
why.
other one is that they know there's a neighboring civilization that can see it from their elevation
Yeah.
or their vantage point,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because if they don't have a telephone, you can people make SOS in the sand on a beach, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
People do all kinds of things, smoke signals. It's a thing because it's a real thing, you know. Like there's always reasons for things,
Yeah.
whether we either A, want to believe that that's the reason or not, or C, understand the reason from their perspective. People do things that other people would say are crazy because they don't have their perspective.
Exactly. I think you're right, but I guess like the point is like my point is we've been doing this for at least a couple thousand years, right? Like making
Yeah.
these things, and we still do
At
them.
least the pyramids are suspect for build date, but
Sure.
anyways,
Yeah.
that's a whole nother topic.
We've been doing it for thousands of years, whether it's vanity or, like making a grave, like some
Yeah,
pyramids
or hey, I can do this, can you do this?
yeah,
Right.
or it's just the show of power, or it's a promise to the gods, or like if you think of like the Tower of Babel, it was kind of like man showing mankind's like greatness in the world, and we're going to build this tower that shows how amazing we are. But we've been doing it forever, and we still do it today. And while we're in a time of science, right, Troy, like today we're in this world where some things still happen, like whether it's these UAPs or crop circles. I don't know, when's the last time a crop circle popped up?
I haven't heard that in years.
Yeah, me neither. Like 25 years.
You haven't been looking. Wait till next week.
But I guess, like, Troy, we've been doing it forever, whether it's the Nazca lines. Why? Like, ignore the Nazca lines, but why do we make geoglyphs? Why do we make these things? And kind of like Dan's question is like, why did they do it then when you couldn't see it from above? What is your theory?
I mean, if you can, why not, right?
Okay.
And if you got an idea and you got the means to do it, why not pursue it? At the time, that's probably what their ideas was. I was looking at Nazca on the map, and it is not far from Machu Picchu. If you guys
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Machu Picchu is a city. The community is built high up in the high elevations.
Yeah, I just want to go see those stones and how they fit together, because I have a theory. I think they poured them in place.
Whereas Nazca is more closer to sea level, closer to the ocean.
Yeah.
But they're really close to one another. Southern Peru.
Yeah.
Who knows? Could it be the same peoples? Is it the Peruvian people? Is it the same people that built Machu Picchu that did Nazca? That did the Nazca line?
I don't know. That's a long walk.
It is. It would be
Real quick.
Well, I mean, if you got oxen, they had to bring all that material up to the top of the mountains to build Machu Picchu.
No, there was already material up there.
Sure, but I'm sure they still had oxen and big animals to tow a lot of stuff.
I don't know. That's kind of why I want to go there, to walk those steps. Like, that's.
I want to have a quick fact check here, and this is on myself. I accidentally said Central America. Peru is in South America.
It's South America.
Yeah. So I said Central America. That's on me. It's South America, because I was looking at Machu Picchu in Peru. I'm like, oh, that's not even. But you are right. Let's see, how far are they? Do you know, Troy, like distance-wise?
No, I'm trying to look that up now. Machu Picchu is actually pretty far inland from Nazca, but so Cusco would be the closest city to Machu Picchu in today's date. I don't know.
Let's see.
So according, just back to what I was saying, according to like James Usher, maybe it's Usher. Anyways, 2348 BC roughly is when they're putting the flood at. Quite a few different.
What was it?
Biblical scholars.
BC.
2348 BC.
Okay. So what's your point?
Those Nazca lines are roughly 2,000 to 3,000 years post flood.
Right. Yeah. So I think that, I mean, at that time, let's say the flood happened, and then people had 1,000 to 2,000 years to spread across the world. That math tracks. Like, people would have gone through the Bering Strait to America, to South America, and etc. So okay. So what was your point, Troy, with Machu Picchu and Nazca?
It's potentially the same peoples, but that's kind of far away. I don't know if they were the Peruvian people. I mean, it's southern Peru, but it says 436 miles.
Okay.
So for those people at that time, that would be a months-long trip probably, back and forth.
Yeah, now we're getting back to the why.
Yeah.
That's a lot of doing. And that's why I'm saying the food portion of it doesn't really pan out. Like, those lines are pretty far from stuff that's growing, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, if you think of like North America and the Indian tribes here, I mean, 400 miles could be 3 or 4 different tribes, between them,
Yeah.
which are essentially the equivalent of like 3 different cultures, or 3 different government systems, almost like 3 different countries within just a few hundred miles located with each other. So I think Machu Picchu could have been one civilization that had a totally different culture,
So
Go ahead.
I found a research paper that says they used AI to try to piece together all the information about the Nazca lines.
Okay.
It took about 100 years to discover 430 Nazca geoglyphs.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly they discovered 303 new geoglyphs in a survey, doubling the number that was known. I'm trying to get to the main point of this.
Okay.
Quickly.
Well, go ahead. What was the main point?
Well, I was trying to get there, but my hands pick up on, and it like just auto scrolled to the very top. So
we get it. You struggle with scrolling on phones.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it.
Can you summarize it for us?
It's talking about like a calendar.
Okay.
So this one goes back into astronomy again and geometry, communication, like expression of your people, like these are all things that are close to them, right? Also associated with like a pilgrimage route. I'm not even going to attempt how to say that name, but just like we're creatures of extreme habit. Us humans are. We're weirdly particular about some things. Even if you don't like where you're from, some of us continue to make some semblance of a pilgrimage back to the place that we are from.
Okay.
We go back to where we were, even if you're not like crazy about it and you're like, man, I don't know, I guess I'll go visit. Right?
Okay.
You go visit. Some people are wildly...
You insist.
Yeah, some people are wildly enthralled with where they're from.
Yeah.
Right? And they go back annually. Some people go back every 10 years. Some people go back... You know what I mean? But like, so if this is a route, right? And they're making pilgrimage across the desert to another place that, they're from or wherever... like the Native Americans in the United States, from Mexico all the way up to Canada, played lacrosse as a means of war, and they would span 1,000 miles and multiple years for one game of lacrosse to dictate different lines of territory and settle disputes and all kinds of things, right? Why is it hard for us to believe that people wouldn't get bored on a pilgrimage and be like, hey, I only eat the birds, so I'm going to make a big bird geoglyph because like one guy made one and then somebody else makes one bigger,
Okay.
And then when you get farther down, it says unable to obtain sufficient data to verify different hypotheses.
Yeah.
And basically comes back to what we're saying is it's hard to discern what it is. there's so many different factors in the region to a culture that we don't know, right? That was from so long ago. We can see the remnants of their culture, but it would be really hard in our time to even begin to understand their point of view of it.
I think
Right.
I think that this might be our greatest mystery on Sasquatch Talk is maybe this and the U.S. government debt. Other than that, this might be our greatest mystery that where it's like we really don't know, you know? Like we could make up a theory, whether it's about just people who are really good at designing for their culture, or maybe they thought it was their gods, or maybe they used slave labor, or maybe an alien came down and did it. But like everything we read, and Dan, I'll this goes to your point. I'll read like a paragraph from Britannica that kind of goes along with your point. This says, since their discovery in the 1920s, the lines have been variously interpreted, but their significance remains largely shrouded in mystery. The American historian Paul Kosak observed the lines from an airplane in 1941 and hypothesized that they were drawn for astronomical purposes. Maria Reich, a German translator who spent years studying the site and lobbying for its preservation, concluded that it was a huge astronomical calendar and that some of the animal sketches were modeled after grouping of the stars in the night sky. In 1967, however, American astrophysicist Gerard Hawkins found no correlation between changes in celestial bodies and design in Nazca lines. So that's just like exactly what you're saying. Like people have studied it.
They've dedicated, that one lady dedicated like 50 years of her life living there, studying the culture, going to Machu Picchu, trying to follow their routes of, pilgrimage
and then this one guy looks up at the stars and he's like, nope, you're wrong.
And he went there to each point and plotted them and used massive computer programs to because they can trace star patterns back. Those are the most highly documented things because of all of the navigation that happens with star patterns, right? Yeah. And being able to navigate everywhere via the stars and modeled and he spent 10 years proving her 50-year theory wrong.
Right.
So not proving another theory about it, just simply spending 10 years to prove someone else's theory wrong.
I mean, in the end, and we're out of time. Our meeting's about to close out on us. And I've said this before, but we have no conclusions other than we don't know. And I think this could be one of our bigger mysteries. Troy, any last thoughts on any of the research you've done, Nazca lines, these geoglyphs? Give us a 30 to 45 second before we close this out here.
So I was just looking at Nazca lines on Google Maps. So an aerial shot. You have to zoom in really close, but you could see all the different shapes through the maps. What's interesting is when you look at that entire desert, the whole desert landscape has been disturbed with these Nazca lines. They're everywhere. Most of them are just straight lines going off in random directions. But if you zoom in really close, the different shapes. And there's some that, on the west side.
Yeah, it's over 400 of them.
Yeah, but they're just all over the place. So it's not like they did a few amount. 400 is a lot, but they disturbed the entire desert floor.
Yeah.
They were out there. When they were doing this, they were working. They were doing
Ooh, is it an Etch-a-Sketch on a massive scale?
Sure, but Etch-a-Sketch, you can, shake it and erase it. This is not getting erased.
You could easily just dust over it and make another one.
And some people, I'm sure they've done that, but it's not, that's people. It's, it's the climate's not destroying it. But so just seeing those Nazca lines going every which directions actually kind of Interesting. You know, it's
Yeah.
and they're all
Yeah.
and
Does
some are
it
up
does
on the
it
side of
change
a
your
mountain.
perspective as to more of a why instead of because? Like,
Maybe a little bit. You know,
yeah.
it seems like it's at such a massive scale that not just one person could do it. You
Right.
know,
I
but
thought I like you, I was like, oh, it's because there's some reason because of it, right? It's we don't have it, it's because of this. Does this make you wonder the why?
yeah, I the why. I it makes you wonder why. Some of these are in such straight lines. They look like from an aerial shot, Dan, a
Yeah.
flight line with a runways and taxiways.
Like
So
straight
now,
lines.
all right, now we're getting
Some of
back
them
to
do.
there's a YouTube video. I'll have to try to find it so we can link it. Where a guy states that the Nazca lines were a marking for a UFO field landing strip,
Okay.
which
Yeah.
is hilarious that you would say that because he zooms out from the Google images or the Google Earth. He uses Google
That's what
Earth,
I'm looking for. Google
zooms
Earth.
out, and he uses the time slider to
Yeah.
show, and then he shows like the way that the runway lines up, like, and he sets out the numbers, and he goes into this whole calculation with the animals, and that there's some kind of he's like going off on this crazy thing about deciphering the code with the animals and trying to translate them into numbers using like numerology, and the he gets into like the Chinese New Year like meaning of all these different animals and stuff.
Right.
I wanted to see if you would get there, that it was the I was going to bring up when I said the why, I was going to bring up the runway and tie it into the UAP because it's like a 2-hour documentary on how that's a UFO runway.
Yeah. I could see like are you looking at the Google Maps,
I'm
Bradley?
looking at Google
Um,
Earth right now, and I'm
Google
trying
Earth,
to
yeah.
find their exact. I went to Nazca, and I'm trying to see.
Okay,
Like,
you found the town of Nazca, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, there's a road, what's
Let,
PE1S that's kind of going in a northwest direction.
PE1S.
Yeah, that's the road or Carretera Pan American Sur. That's the name of the road. So, did you find that road?
CP. Give me the letters again.
PE1S.
Okay.
Yeah, find that road.
Uh-huh.
Follow that north, kind of in northwest direction. It's a straight line across the desert.
Okay. Oh,
And
I
then if
found
you-
it. I found it. Yeah.
So then you find all the lines going throughout the desert.
I found the spot, but I'm zooming in and I can't see the actual geoglyphs itself.
So follow that road all the way until it takes a hard left at the mountains.
Yeah.
Do you see it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Now you zoom in there. You have to get kind of close.
Okay, I see it. You're right. You do have to get. I see the spider.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. You know what's interesting is they're smaller. Like I'm looking at it. And
Yeah.
and by the way, this is showing for our audience right now. They can see kind of my path of going there. Like if you zoom out too much, like you can't really
miss
see
it.
anything, and it's
Yeah.
not, we're not that high up.
No. If you look on both sides of the road, you'll
Yeah.
see large rectangles and lines going in every which direction. And then if you zoom in, you'll see the flamingo and the giraffe. Is that a bird? And
Yeah.
the pelican. And then you go on the other side of that highway. And that's where it looked like more runways
You know,
and taxiways.
you have like I don't know on Google Maps or Google Earth it says how high up you are. And
Yeah.
if you go much more than, I don't know, 2,000 meters, well, I guess you could see some at 2,500 meters, but they start to disappear pretty pretty close, like pretty far up. Like you're not that
Yeah.
high up when they
You
start
have
to
to be a couple
disappear.
hundred feet. It
Yeah.
has to be a couple hundred feet.
The spider
if you
it kind of disappears after 2,000 feet. Then you can see like the circle, and then what is this? The monkey you can see. Yeah, some
What
of
side of
these.
the road are you on?
Huh?
What side of the road are you on?
I'm on the south side of this road. There's the Nazca spider. It's about, I don't know, a mile south of the road, maybe. Right south of that town. There's the spiral, which is on the north side of the road. But you can't see it unless you really zoom in.
Yeah.
And this one, you have to be, like some of these, you have to be a couple hundred feet above it. So, Dan, what does that mean to you? You have to be super close to be able to see these things. And I'm talking like some of them you can see from maybe a mile high.
That's assuming UFOs don't have good lenses to be able to see it.
Sure. Sure. Some of them you have to be like this Nazca spiral or the flamingo. I have to zoom in to
Real
100
close,
meters, you know,
Yeah.
100 meters before I can even see them. Which one, like, goes back to your point in the beginning, Troy, that they're pretty small. Like, they're a lot smaller than we think. And I'm not saying that it wasn't difficult, especially with the lack of technology 2,000, 3,000 years ago. But, you know, like, maybe they were easier than we think, right? Like, they're not as grandiose as the pyramids. You know, the pyramids probably took decades to make, you know.
Or longer, centuries perhaps.
Or possibly several generations on the same project. And I can't just eyeball this and be like, yeah, it took about 6 weeks, you know, but it's not the same thing. And I don't know what conclusions that means, but Dan, what do you think? What are your final thoughts? How about this? Any conclusions that you can come to, and don't speculate. What conclusions can you come to based on what you've learned our discussions today?
Conclusions I could definitely come to is, what would it take for me to convince the two of you to go make a thing big enough to be seen from the same distance in the air?
What?
What
From
would
the
it
same
take
distance as the Nazca lines?
as the Nazca lines? What would it take for me to convince both of you and maybe a few other people to go do this?
I guess you could capture my family. You could enslave me. You could strip my religion and say that the gods require this or else we'll starve. Yeah, I think those are a few things that could convince me.
Those are things that would convince you to go make...
Yeah, so let's say you captured my family. Let's say you captured Carrie and you said, if you don't do this, I'll kill her. I would go make it.
You wouldn't just try to go get her?
That's extortion.
Oh,
almost.
okay.
That's blackmail.
Let's say you had me captured in chains, right, with armed guards. I don't think that I would be able to break out of those chains, attack these guards, and go rescue Carrie. No. So, yeah,
All right.
that's a possibility. Or you enslaved me, right? You enslaved me somehow.
What would it take for me to convince you? We work together. We hang out on Saturdays. We go, like forage for food together. And I'm like, what we should do?
Yeah.
We should make some lines that it's kind of hard to see what we're doing on the ground, but trust me, it's going to look really cool when we're done.
I don't know, a pile of cash?
I was going to say get cash.
Yeah.
Money or
Yeah.
food. Hey, I'll give you food if you come do this.
No, because I could have my own
got
food.
food.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got
Yeah,
my
but I'll
own-
give you more food than you could get on your own.
Still wouldn't do it.
Do you see my point?
No, I really don't.
What?
You're assuming that they lived in the same economic
People are
structure,
still
the same
people.
culture.
People are still people.
They weren't Americans who could drive their car to work or could bet on the stock market and say like screw you and walk away, you know? Or they
Sure
weren't
they
Americans who would say like you're going to point your gun at me, I'm going to point my gun back at you, you know?
Yeah.
This was a culture 2,000 to 3,000 years old. We don't know what was going on. We don't know what we don't know what their food sources were like.
They were having babies.
Uh-huh.
They were arguing with their baby mamas. They were trying to get food. They had to figure out where to poop.
Right.
That all of those things.
So maybe so basically what you're saying is they were humans, like the very base humans.
Yeah.
They needed food, they needed shelter, they needed water.
Yeah, we all need those things.
But that doesn't change slavery, it doesn't change like ancient like religions, it changes nothing. It just says that we think you're thinking of this because you're Dan Adams, right? You got your guns, you go to work, no one's gonna tell me what to do, right? I'm not gonna build these crop circles. That's not what they're not Dan Adams. They're not they're not three Americans who won't be told what to do or else, right? These are not the same people.
No.
But somehow there's in every society there's warriors, there's gatherers, there's people that, do stuff in the society for the society, and there's people that live on the edge and steal from society until they get caught and beat and their skin ripped off or whatever.
There's murderers, there's thieves, there's heroes, soldiers, whatever.
Right. What I'm saying is it took some level of convincing to get this to happen.
It could have been you're absolutely right. It could have, but the thing is we don't know why. It could have been religion, it could have been like coercion.
That's what I'm talking about. That I want to know it's dumb. And people have spent large portions of their life to come to a non-answer.
And that's why I say, in the end, I think this is our biggest mystery, because all the theories people have had in the past have been disproven by other people.
The paper that they used they used AI to figure it out, they still didn't come to a conclusion.
Right, yeah.
With quantum computing is so far advanced that we can break passwords that are, crazy, but we cannot get AI to figure out why these Nazca lines happened.
This is a whole different thing. AI can't figure out anything. All AI can do is search a database and give you an answer.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It can search all the available databases. We just don't have that much data on this area of the world.
It's in the end, even us three couldn't figure it out. And that's crazy.
Well, we could look at every geoglyph around and come to the understanding that it's either some sort of ceremonial thing, right? We're the Church of the Dirt Picture people. We sing songs and walk around in the shape of a monkey this year, and then next year it'll be the year of the, flying flamingo, and then the year after that it's the year of the snake. And I like the snake year because it's easier than the monkey year.
Officially, we don't know. We have no clue. We don't know what we're talking about. They're just these lines in the desert in Peru in South America. We don't know why.
We know more than a handful of people have spent 10 plus years trying to figure this out.
Yeah, for the last 100 years, there's not a lot of things we couldn't figure out, but apparently these are one of them. That's all we got.
What
Troy,
if it's just a mural? What if it's just a mural, similar to how people will spray paint on
It
the side
could
of a
be.
building?
It could
What
be.
if it's just the form of a mural?
Just like
Yeah, somebody likes the taste of monkey more than something else. It's a giant menu.
it could be.
It could be.
It was a marketplace, and they served monkey at the monkey picture. They served flamingo at the flamingo picture. Snake at the snake picture. It's just a giant desert market.
It could
Yeah.
be. That's all we got. That's all the time we have. We came to 0 conclusions today, except that we don't know anything. That's it. Thanks for watching Sasquatch
About
Talk. That's all we got. Adios. Talk to you later. SasquatchGunoil.org.